right. Happy Friday. How's everybody doing? Good to see a lot of familiar and unfamiliar faces on our Klear channel this Friday. Appreciate you guys taking the time to jump on, and obviously some of you guys, if you're driving out to the stores or heading to work, please be careful. So I really appreciate you guys jumping on. Can everybody hear me okay? All good? All good. Okay. All right, guys. So if this is your very first time jumping on the call, I see a few people that are new to the call. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to grab your cell phone, pull out your cell phone, pull up the app, type in Klear channel, Klear channel, and subscribe. That's all I ask. If you're on our call today, if you can do that, if you enjoy the content that we're uploading, I launched this YouTube channel about 6 months ago. If you like the content, please share it. I realize one of my goals and really my purpose is to help change the world one leader at a time. I know with all the people we invite on this call and all the content, we're doing that little by little, and the ripple effect will help the world be a better place. So thanks so much for hopping on today. I'm really excited about our special guest on today, Friday, the 16th. So my friend Joey Giordano's on today. What's up, Joey?
What's up, Ken? How are you?
Good. Good to see you 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
Right. I was down in Cleveland yesterday, hanging out with Joe and Chad and those guys, helping them and doing my best to support them running their companies. So, Joe, I know we talked briefly about this call and I sent you obviously a bunch of questions and things, but really, I appreciate you jumping on this morning. Obviously, I've known you for a few years, being a young guy, growing and starting in a sales position, and then growing up and becoming an entrepreneur. But before we jump into that, Joe, do you mind just sharing, for anyone that doesn't know you, know your background, really where you're from, a little bit about your family, maybe your childhood? Let's start there, and we got obviously some questions for you. But thanks again for jumping on and sharing your wealth of knowledge.
Of course. Thanks for having me on the call. Hopefully you guys can take a few nuggets away. And, just like Ken said, I'm going to go over a quick little background. So hopefully I can connect with one or two of you guys. I'm really excited to see Brennan Teague on the call as well. So I'm a huge Brennan Teague fan, huge fan of Brennan Teague. So he's helped me a lot out over the last couple of years. But yeah, so a little background about myself. I'm from St. Clair Shores, Michigan. So it's around 20 minutes north of Detroit. So I'm a diehard Red Wings fan. I played hockey my entire life. I started skating at 2 years old. I played AAA, I played travel, and then I made a huge mistake and I played high school hockey, but I'll get into that stuff later on. But anyways, got a chance to play in college. I'll touch on that in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's my family. I'm 100% Sicilian. So, my dad, I owe a lot to my dad because, watching him growing up and like the things I wanted, it was never as easy as, yes, let's go get it. So he instilled work ethic into me at a very young age. I'm one of 6 kids. So there's 6 kids total. I'm the 4th child. And I make jokes all the time, but me and my sister are 11 months apart. So I feel like when I was born, they kind of just shipped me off to grandma's house. So I learned a lot from her as well too. But we are what's called Irish twins, if you guys don't know. But yeah, I mean, had a really fun childhood. Obviously I had tons of brothers and sisters, got a chance to hang out with all those guys. And sports means a lot to me. Yeah, like I said, I just grew up playing sports. I started in this business back in 2017, around a week after I graduated college. I don't know if I'm going to touch on the whole college thing real quick, but I have I actually have a learning disability and I have a reading disability. So, school for me was not the most fun for me. It was actually pretty difficult, all that fun stuff. So when I was coming to graduate when I was coming to graduate high school, I felt very pressured to go to college because everyone was telling me to go to college and they told me it was the right move to do. And all my friends were going too. So I'm like, all right, I should probably go to college. But deep down, I really didn't want to do it. Lucky for me, I was a pretty decent hockey player. So I got half a scholarship to go to Rochester College. It's a brand new program. So I played hockey over there for for 4 years. I went to school for 5 years. Like I said, I had some fun in college for sure. But yeah, that's my little background myself. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, no, and Joe, I went for the extra half lap myself. I had a very good time in college too.
Yeah, it was
So,
fun.
and yeah, so don't worry about that. So listen, obviously growing up, playing a lot of sports, in your opinion, has sports helped you or hurt you to do well in the business world?
I think anyone who played sports growing up has a huge advantage over so many people because we're so used to working as a team and it's not just, you by yourself, it's a whole team together. And like I've created friendships, with like being on teams, for anyone that's played sports and you're trying out for a brand new team and you're going to that locker room for the very first time, you don't know anybody and you have to create a friendship right away. So I think that's huge. I think the team is huge. I think working together as one is huge. And bouncing off ideas off them. So absolutely, I think sports helped out a ton when it comes to work ethic, attitude, and just overall just building up relationships. Absolutely.
Nice. And so what position do you play in hockey?
I played forward, so I either played, I'm left-handed. How the best hockey players are, we're left-handed. So I played off wing, so I was on the right side of like the face-off. So and sometimes I played center. So that was my position forward.
Nice. And you mentioned right out of school, you fell into the business we're in, and you started off in sales.
Yeah.
I know your background, from your dad, he's been an entrepreneur for a bit. And what was it like starting in sales? Any tips for anyone that wants to get great in sales and really just starting their career?
Yeah, so I think anyone that wants to, get into sales, first and foremost, is you have to actually want to be good at sales. If you want to just kind of try out sales and see if it's going to be for you, I mean, you really got to put your all into it because it's like difficult. I mean, for me, I thought I was really good at talking to people. Like everyone told me growing up, hey, you're great at talking to people, you'd be awesome at sales. I'm like, great. And then I tried sales at first. And I'm like, holy crap, like I'm not very good at it. So like it's a shot to your ego at first. So like you really got to put a lot of commitment into it, and you got to put like a lot of practice into it. Just how when you guys played sports, like you'd wake up early, go to practice 2 hours before the game, stuff like that. You're putting a lot of extra time into a sport. You got to put a lot of extra time into your craft as well too. So anyone trying out sales, just know that like failure is going to happen, and that is totally okay. And you have to understand that it's going to happen, and it's okay to get shot down. It's okay to get that rejection. It's only going to build your character up from there and have a positive mindset moving on forward. And just reach out to people that are really good. Over the past couple of years, I've stolen a lot of knowledge from people that are just a whole lot better than me. An example is someone on the call right now is Ken and Brennan T. I talk to those guys a lot because they just know more than me. So I just steal a bunch of knowledge from that. So that's my advice for you guys.
It's interesting. I was thinking, you were 23, right? When you started.
I started when I was 22. I opened up my business when I was 23. Yeah.
Okay. So start off at 22 years old when, a lot of people are just, they don't know what they're doing with their lives at 22, right? Young, 23 years old, you start your first company, your entrepreneurial venture. What was that like being a young entrepreneur? There's obviously, what was it like for you being a young entrepreneur?
It was really cool. Because a lot of my friends the same age, they weren't doing the stuff that I was doing. And, I'm still friends with them to this day, but during that journey, I didn't spend a lot of time with those people because, there's a classic saying of you hang around 4 people, you become the 5th person of that. So, I mean, I'm still a friend of those guys today, but I spend a lot of my time with people like Ken or Bill or like Brendan, people that are doing things that I want to do. I spent a lot of my time around those guys, but it felt really cool, man. I mean, like I said, I was 23 years old when I opened up my very first business, and a lot of people my age just weren't doing that. And I just thought it was very cool that I got this opportunity to, run my own business, and I'm making all these decisions, But that's also the scary part as well too. Like now that I am in this position, I'm making all this responsibilities, everything like that. But I do really well under pressure. I've always done that. I think sports is a great example of that. When you guys play sports in the championship game, I strive under pressure, so I like that a lot. But yeah, I mean, it was very cool. I remember my very first day opening up. I was walking around the hallway, pacing back and forth. I'm like, holy crap, this is actually happening. Like I'm doing this. I now have all this responsibility. And you know, having a great team behind me, they kind of walked me through that and helped me out. But yeah, it was a very cool, very exciting experience to like do that. And just a little side note that, you know, showing my mom that like, hey mom, like I'm opening up a business, and like seeing her reaction, and you know, my company's named after her, and like, you know, seeing that moment, that's what I loved the most, was seeing her. So that was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And any naysayers along the way that were like, hey, too good to be true, it's not going to happen?
Yeah. My dad was one of those guys for sure. So he's like, you should come back and sell windows, roofs, and doors, all this stuff like that, because he does construction. That's like his business. So like my dad was one of them for sure. My friends were definitely some naysayers as well too, and I'll bring up a story later on about that. But yeah, I mean, you know, all my friends like, why are you working so hard, and why are you hanging out with people that you work with? I don't like it to work with. I'm like, well, that's your problem. Like, I enjoy the people I work with. And so yeah, there was definitely some naysayers for sure. But you know, when you put the blinders on and you have, you know, you're not distracted by the outside world and you're focused on what you want, it's easy to forget about whatever else is saying. But yeah, it was definitely my dad for sure. And my one or two my like really good friends. And my dad still always gives me crap for it all the time too. He still wants me to come back and take over his business. So yeah.
and being, you know, we talked to, obviously 23 years old, you're running your first company. I'm sure you had some struggles. I'm sure you had some challenges. Anything come to mind that you struggled at, that, you know, like you learned from, that you can pass it on and pay it forward?
Absolutely. The number one thing is organization. I was not organized at all. 0%. I didn't know what I was doing, what time I was doing it at, and I was just running with my head cut. You know, I was just like all over the place. So being organized is a total game changer. I feel way more cool, way more calm, way more collective. I know what's going on. I know who's doing what, like just way better. I mean, when I first opened up and I was running my own company, like I was just feeding off energy and that's all I was doing. And then all of a sudden I was like, all right, well, what am I supposed to do now? So being organized is so key. Planning. I started planning on like Sundays for like literally like an hour, like not even so much time, because I took an hour out of my day and planned my whole entire week. But yeah, planning and being organized, Ken, for sure, are definitely the two things that come to mind right away, right off the rip.
Nice. And you know, going back, obviously you've been running your company for how long now?
Just over 3 years now. So just my 3-year anniversary was April 24th. So that was my 3-year anniversary.
Okay, so 3 years now. So you're 26. I'm just doing the math, right? 25, 26.
I'm 27 now for some reason.
20,
yeah, 27. Yeah,
27.
Maybe my math is off, but yeah.
Timing wise. Okay, so 27.
Yeah.
What would you, if is starting in your very first day in sales and really just being young in business, is there anything that you would tell yourself if you had to go back and you just kind of, hey, Joey, you should blank?
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself?
I would say just don't sweat the small stuff. So like part of like the journey is like going through a bunch of, you know, BS, right? Some small stuff that happens here and there. Just don't worry about the small little things, because if you have an end goal in mind, it doesn't really matter, right? I think the other thing is like having more clear set goals. So when I was trying to build up my business, I had a really clear goal of like, all right, I want to open up my business. And then when I opened up my business, I was like, well, what do I do now? So I think when I very first started, it would have to be just like, don't sweat the small stuff. Small stuff is going to happen. Don't let those small things build up on top of each other. Be cool, calm, and collective. I'd say it as like a roller coaster. Like I like going on roller coasters, but I like being on the lazy river instead, like drinking a beer. Like that's way more fun. Like just chilling. So don't let the stuff pile up on top of each other. And then I would also say, just, you know, I'm actually super lucky because the person who trained me, he told me right off the bat, only get advice from people that are qualified to give you advice. I never once spoke to anybody who I didn't feel like was who was qualified to give me advice. So I would only speak to people that have more experience than me, that were doing better than me. So that was a huge game changer, was only get advice from those people who know what they're talking about and have the have the proof to back it up. So that was huge.
Nice. Do you remember the time you sat in my office? I want to guess you were about 4 or 5 months into the business and you were incredibly frustrated. I don't know if you're thinking of quitting or whatever and quitting your career, but you were just not happy, super frustrated. Do you remember that conversation?
I do. And, I think that's part of, like I said, like if you're not frustrated in what you're doing every single day, then you're just not growing. You're not doing enough to push your limits every single day. And like, again, I'm going to relate everything back to sports. Like when I played sports and we're doing 2 days and we're working, I wanted to throw up. Like I'm pushing my body to the limit where like, I'm going to puke right now. I'm going to give up right now. And that's when you overlap that. So like, I remember that conversation because I was very frustrated and I was very annoyed because I'm not getting results. We're so like results heavy. We want to get these results like right now. But good things come to those who wait. And I always say this to all my guys: if you don't feel like quitting every single week, you're just not working hard enough. Like there was times in my career I'm like, all right, I'm gonna throw in the towel. I'm gonna do something else. And then I stop myself and say, like, what if? Like, what if I did stop doing this? What if I missed out on this person later on? My biggest fear, my biggest motivator is who I could become, right? I would hate to meet myself 10 years from now and this guy is doing everything I've ever dreamed of doing, but I decided to give up when that one day got tough. So yes, I do remember that conversation. Like I said, if you don't feel like doing that, then you're not pushing yourself hard enough to get past what you want.
And what I'm curious. So what did I say? Like what got you to walk off the ledge? I mean, you tell me now that was a big moment in your career, and I was just kind of talking to you. You know what I mean? I didn't realize that it was.
Yeah. So like the big thing you always tell me is like, you got to take pride in doing something that people can't do or won't do. So like, a lot of people can't do this or they just don't want to do this. And you're like, I remember you telling me that you got to take pride in that. And I'm like, you're right. Like a lot of people don't want to do this or like they can't do this. And you said if this was easy, then everybody would else do it. And I don't want to be known as everybody. I don't want to be the average guy who does what everyone else does, right? So I want to be the different guy. So that was the big thing that you told me was like, take pride in the fact that you're good at something that people don't want to do or just can't do. And I'm like, you're right. Like I am good at this. Like I can do this and I don't want to be like everybody else. So that was the big advice. So
cool. Yeah. Mark that down. I'll write that down and remember that next time I sit in front of somebody like you that I really like. And listen, obviously being an entrepreneur, you've had some fantastic years and you've had some tough years, right? Getting started and building a business from scratch was challenging. I know just to give the team a glimpse, what was your revenue to your company last week as an example?
So I just got the last one was $20,000, and it was $22,000, and it was $20,000. The last 3 weeks, it's been an average of like 20 grand every single week.
So in 3 weeks of 2021,
yeah,
$60,000 in payments to your company, and the average American makes less than 50 grand a year. And you are 27, you're ripe age of 27, making 60 grand after 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Absolutely. I'm 100%. So, yes, it is for sure. Like I remember when I wasn't doing so hot and, all those things came into mind. And then, I felt so overworked and so underpaid at first, but now I feel so underworked and so overpaid. I was just telling Ken like the other day, I have a lot of people that are in my office now that I'm giving a lot of like responsibility to. So I'm not really doing so much of the day to day. I'm not so much, working with customers and I'm letting them do all that stuff now. So at first, yeah, I felt very overworked, very underpaid, but now, I mean, I feel very underworked and very overpaid for sure. So 100%, I think the juice is worth the squeeze. Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about, so what does that look like for a guy 27, relatively young, still out in the world? I know you have a girlfriend, but any I heard recently as an example, I think I called you on a random Friday afternoon and I had a question for you. And like, hey man, let me call you back. I'm getting on a flight. And I was like, you're getting on a flight? What? And you're like flying to Miami for the weekend or something.
Yeah, we travel a lot. That's me and Aaron's big thing is we like the freedom to travel. So like, back when I was looking at, all right, I'm going to stop doing this and like doing something else, I looked at like how much time off I would be given. And it was only 2 weeks. And then me and Aaron looked at each other, like we both took like 35 days off of work last year. So like, I just didn't want to give up the freedom of travel. So like me and Aaron travel so much. So like, give you guys an idea, we're actually going to Wilmington, North Carolina next week, Thursday to Thursday. And then right when I get back from that Thursday, I'm going to California to go see some of the guys out in Quill over there. But yeah, I mean, like the travel for me and Aaron, that's like the biggest thing that we really enjoy the most is, you know, that's one thing that like, you know, I could buy stuff, whatever, and like that's cool, but like having experiences with somebody that I love and like doing stuff with them, like that's what I care about most. Is having that time to like travel. So that's what I enjoy.
Nice. Nice. Any recommendations when it comes to podcast books? Anything that, you know, that anyone on the call, you know, that wants to maybe spend a little bit of time, you know, you talk about athletes and it's really not what's done in the field, it's what's done in the gym, right? All those analogies. So what can be done, you know, in their own time to improve their skills? Any tips?
So there's one podcast right now that I've been listening to. It's actually done by three of my buddies. So three of my buddies, Danny Giannone, Kevin Fuller, and Tyler Buck. It's called Never Going Back Podcast. It's on the Apple podcast. It's also on Spotify. Those three guys have fantastic content about our business, outside our business, you know, gym stuff, whatever it is. Fantastic podcast for sure. The other one I listened to is called Stand. It's let me find it real quick because I stopped listening to it because I've now got onto like Never Going Back podcast. Let me find them. The Andy Stanley Leadership Podcast. I like him a lot as well too. He's super organized and like does all his research. He is a good one for sure. When it comes to books, like I mentioned, like, you know, I don't read books. I listen to books instead. You know, like I told you, the whole learning disability and the whole reading disability, you know, if I sit here with a book, it's really difficult for me to do. I'm not saying I don't do it. I just have someone read it for me as I follow along. So some books that I really like is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You know, when I read that book, I was like, wow, this is some really good stuff in here. Like, this is some solid information. I'm sure you guys have heard before, but you know, How to Win Friends and like Influence People. When I read that book, I was like, wow, I do a lot of this stuff already. And I didn't even realize. One of my customers gave me this book. This is The Go-Giver. This is a good one. And then Tara Macia told me to read The 1 Minute Manager. And I read that book as well, too. Fantastic book as well. Well, yeah, podcasts are probably my favorite. I listen to a lot of like Gary Vee, you know, just like motivational stuff. So yeah, but that Never Going Back podcast, guys, is a really good one. Like, solid podcast.
Awesome. And, you know, as you've matured in business, is there any habits you've come up? You mentioned planning is a habit you've, you know, really helped you get organized and help you feel better, less anxiety and more clarity on what's happening, kind of have more organization. Any other habits or things that you do that are important, I think, for that has helped your career grow so much?
Yeah, I think those are definitely the two biggest ones for sure. Is definitely planning and like preparation. The other one is just like having a coach again. So when I wasn't doing very well, I realized that I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not on the phone with somebody. I'm not doing a weekly call with somebody. So one person I have to thank the most for like where I'm at today is definitely Tara Macia. I spoke to Tara Macia every single day for I think 2 years at 6:45 in the morning. I spoke to Brennan T like on Tuesdays, I believe, at 6:45 as well too, for I think a solid year or so. But I just realized that I wasn't doing well because I wasn't getting advice from other people. I wasn't picking my brain off those people. And you got to remember, 2 heads are better than 1. You might think you have all the information up here, but it's always good to bounce ideas off each other. So definitely planning and being being prepared, but also just having a coach, someone to bounce ideas off of. Those are probably the biggest things I would recommend for sure for anybody.
Awesome. And tell us about your goals. What are you looking to do over the next 2 years, 3 years? You going to be on this World Cup trip that we just launched as an org, or what?
Absolutely. I was just talking with my guys yesterday, and it's like, you know, how many people get a chance to say that they've been to the World Cup, right? And it's like, not many people get a chance to say that. It's like, oh, hey, like, what are you doing this weekend? And you go, oh, nothing. I'm just going to like the World Cup. So like, that's definitely one of my goals for sure. A big goal of mine that I've had for the past 2 years was to take over the whole entire state of Ohio for my client. And I got word that I finally achieved that goal. So I'm opening up another deal down in Cincinnati in the 1st of August. So that's been a goal of mine for years, like I said, and this is back when I was a terrible business owner. I wasn't doing well, and everyone's like, "Oh man, you're like never gonna do that. You're never gonna do this, all that stuff, whatever." And it's just crazy what happens over time that becomes something. So that is very cool. Some other goals I have is myself and Aaron want to start buying some rental properties. We want to open up a property management company. Obviously, I have my dad as the backbone to help build the houses and like fix the stuff up. We want to get into that start next year. A big long-term goal, Ken, is to take, have my money make more money. So I want to open up like 12 Jets pizzas. I'm from Detroit, like I mentioned. I'm a huge Jets pizza guy. The ranch, you just can't beat it. I'm doing a lot of research on Jets pizzas, and one of my big goals is I want to open up 12 different Jets pizzas throughout the U.S. Me and Aaron want to buy a house next year as well too. And then, I want to be able to expand for my client again at least 3 more times next year. And I want to start a brand new program. I want to start a brand new program from scratch. I want to build that program up, and I want to, expand that out. So those are some of my goals I have by the end of this year.
Awesome. Well, Joe, we really appreciate you taking the time to jump on this morning. I know we have we got almost 30 people that are on screen. I know in our office, we got another 10, 15 people that are in office. Really appreciate the time, really appreciate the information. If you're in a place where you're not driving and you're being safe, you guys can take your phones off mute or your computers or your iPods or whatever it is that you're on, and say thank you to Joe. We really appreciate it. A round of applause.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Well, Joe, thanks so much for your time, buddy. It was great hanging out with you yesterday for a little bit and chatting with your team. You got an awesome team down at Hunt. For the record, guys, he's the #1 office on his campaign. How many offices are on that program?
There's 24 right now, and I think we've been #1 for the past, 7 weeks, 7-8 weeks, whatever it's been. So
just dropping the mic right at the end there. 7 weeks, #1 office, and frankly, I think he can still do better. Still, he should be #1 and start stretching it out, where he's so far ahead, he's doubling #2. So just a little challenge for you at the end of the call. But thanks so much, Joe. Really appreciate it. Listen, I know your parents are so proud of you. I know for a fact. So great job, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Have a great day.
Happy
I'll see you
Friday.
guys later.
Take care. Talk to you soon.